Hello everyone, welcome back to the Salesforce United podcast. Here we discuss engineering discoveries, professional secrets, and the career of our guests. I am, as usual, your host, 𝐒𝐚𝐥𝐞𝐬𝐿. This episode is actually an incredible coincidence. I began working on the episode back in September. The day I had recorded all my guests, I learned that I'm going to change the project I work for, so I will have a technical interview soon. The topic of this episode, you guessed it, is the Salesforce developer interview questions. We asked three guests, three great professionals from EPAM systems, 𝐒𝐚𝐥𝐞𝐬𝐿 and Atos, to share their favorite interview questions. Let's check what came out of it. Our first guest is Elad Asulin, a delivery team lead at 𝐒𝐚𝐥𝐞𝐬𝐿. He also has 7 Salesforce certifications, and I believe he has some tricky questions for Salesforce developers. Hi, Elad.
Hi, my name is Elad. I'm from Israel, and I've been active in the Salesforce field for a few years. I used to do a lot of interviews for new employees, a lot of training, a lot of them from Israel, from Europe, United States. For your question, what is like a favorite interview question? So you're trying to actually, when I'm trying to interview people, when I try to interview people for this field, it's less about the technical knowledge per se, because it's a wide array of things to know, but it's more about the ability to explore and to get the correct answer. So, for example, I would ask how to configure a dynamic report in Salesforce in the way that I'm going to create one report, but every user is going to see only their information. So let's say in the field of field service, like work orders or service appointments, things that are shared between territories, but a report needs to show only the relevant information, because you don't allow people to manage reports and so forth. So that's something that you have to have a basic understanding of the data model and how to manipulate it. So that'll be like an example of a question, or another question could be something that requires a little bit more of the out of the box, right? You want to do a duplicate management, right? That's what you want to do, or something of that sort. So Salesforce goes by match rules and so on and so forth. But what if I do it based on gong recordings, right? Or scripts that are added? That's going to be a little bit more difficult to do, right? Based on a score or something. So you'd want the administrator to understand that we can incorporate like Apex code, maybe. There is something else that does it, because there are programs that can, or libraries that we can incorporate and to scan those texts, but then the output is going to be Boolean true false, and then we can use Flow to do it. So you want them to say, even that they don't know, they don't have to understand, hey, how do I do this? How do I write the code? I don't expect you to know. That's fine. I expect you to know that there's a possibility, that there's an ability of that, meaning to reach out and explore. So so that's what I do.
Great. So you check for first place how somebody think about solution, how somebody is looking for solution, and what he knows about capabilities of the platform.
Right. Yes, exactly. More than the approach, again, if you have 0 technical skills, you'll not be able to do anything, right? You can't just go to Google. You have to have something, right? But like a good developer or administrator could have 6 months experience and be much better in problem solving than somebody that has been in 10 years in the business, right? Okay. So it depends. Yeah.
Do you remember anyone whose answer was outstanding, or maybe just funny, or just... Do you remember somebody?
I did have a funny case where someone was like somebody like with 4 years of experience, and he came into the interview and he was supposed to know a lot of things, and we started off with by telling a joke or something. I don't know why, and for some reason I think he felt embarrassed or something. He couldn't answer anything, and he already had like a written test. So I said, listen, you answered this in a test, you answer it. He went into this like blank space. So I'm saying it's not just funny, but it's sometimes you gotta know that people respond differently in interviews, right? Yeah. Sometimes let them have their own space, their own place, so at the end of the day, to tell the guy, it's fine, you know what, go home, relax, whatever. We'll give you something else written to do. So some people have just I guess they have this stage fear, something like that.
Yeah, that's great advice in that case, in such cases. Elad, I want to thank you for a great conversation and your insights.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Today we want to know everything about interview questions, and our guest is Adam Sawicki, lead software engineer at EPAM PolSource. He interviews a lot of Salesforce developers, and we want to know all your secrets, Adam. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for invitation. Nice to meet you as well. As you said, I'm a lead software engineer at EPAM, and my overall Salesforce experience is about 5 years now. I'm full stack developer. I started mostly on the backend side, but during my project experience, I switched mostly to front-end technologies, starting with Aura and then LWC. And this is my main area of interests and the main area of expertise, the front-end side, communities, and the JavaScript.
Great. And how many interviews you made maybe this year?
This year probably around 20, 30, something like that.
Great. I bet you have your favorite question.
It's not a question, but group of questions. So, and it's not particularly connected to Salesforce, because when I'm interviewing Salesforce developers candidates, I like to ask questions about object-oriented programming, about OOP principles, about design patterns that they may be used on the projects, or maybe know theoretically. Many times I discovered that people can't even answer one question: what is inheritance, or what is abstraction. They have problems with that, and this group of questions actually also shows me if the candidate has broader view of software engineering in general.
Personally, I'm in love with the idea of asking general engineering questions like you described. Mm-hmm. But I want to know your opinion. Why is it so important?
Almost every project there were some design patterns implemented in the code base, and I think it's very useful to organize the project that way. And I basically value that in the candidates if someone is familiar with those ideas, and it shows me that the person has the broader view of the code of software engineering. If I would say something about questions that are more Salesforce connected, I like questions about latest releases. So in my interviews, I try to ask maybe not very complicated question, but question that is somehow connected with latest release, and let me know if the candidate tracks the changes that happens in Salesforce. And one of such questions was about if we have equivalent of SQL query select asterisks.
So these days you can ask something about assert class or something like that. Assert class. Okay. And what about that front-end part of knowledge about Lightning Web Components, for instance?
So one of interesting questions that I like to ask is what is Shadow DOM? Because
that's tricky. Not easy question.
That's not easy question, but more. But some candidates I think may know the answer, because it is basically what is LWC built on, right? Shadow DOM. And usually candidates misunderstand that and describe virtual DOM. Of course, I try to ask also about Lightning Data Service.
Yeah, and now we have a related lists API in Lightning Web Components. It's something new, and maybe not everyone knows. Not everyone has practice with that tool.
Yes, I agree. Also, some people also have problems. I try to ask about lifecycle hooks. Mostly they don't have problems with connected callback, but with rendered callback, people sometimes don't know what to use it for. I prefer open questions and let candidates present their knowledge the way they like. And one of that open questions is to describe security model. So basically it compounds of few different parts, and such question let me view how much the candidate knowledge is organized and structured, and eventually I can ask some additional questions.
Great, and that's very important. Everything about security model is very important, and it's getting, as I see every year, it's getting more and more complicated. Recently
we got a new element of that, right?
Restriction
rules, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I have I think the last personal question, where is a topic which is important for me and I'm interested in. Do you ask questions related to integrations and different types of integrating Salesforce and third-party systems?
I'm asking sometimes about connected apps. Connected app. Why do we configure that? How we can make authenticated call out to third-party system? And you remind me one more thing that is maybe something worth not mentioning. Question about Salesforce APIs, because we have a bunch of them. And usually people are getting confused about that questions, and they are usually start talking about those custom integrations, so calling out to third-party services and consuming third-party services. But they forget about those different APIs that Salesforce gives us, like bulk API, streaming API, etc.
Thanks. Thank you so much for your insights and for sharing your secrets. And you should take into account that now we all know all your secrets, and everyone who is subscribed to our podcast can prepare better for answering your questions. Thanks. That was Adam Sawicki.
Thank you.
Let me introduce our guest, Michael Labanov, Head of Salesforce Practice and Architect at Atos. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Andrei. Thank you, subscribers. Glad to be here. Glad to share my story or questions.
Yeah. I want our subscribers and listeners to know you better. And I know you have a lot of Salesforce certifications. Exactly how many do you have?
It's not so big number for Salesforce ecosystem. I have 14 certificates. Most of them are consultant certificates.
These are great achievements.
I have system and application architect.
Yeah, I bet it was a long journey from newbie to architect. Tell us more about your career path.
So definitely, yeah. I was just inspired by Salesforce. I couldn't say in other words. So in 2013, it was the internal project. We definitely successfully implemented Salesforce and Service Cloud for our internal use. Then I decided to start my Salesforce journey and fully focused on the Salesforce ecosystem and Salesforce solution, and then switched to another company. It was a consulting company, and this company I was leading the team of developers and consultants. So I do some stuff by myself, and we did a lot of interesting projects. And then here we are, and I'm Atos and leading Salesforce practice in one of the region.
Let's dive into our main topic. What is your favorite interview questions for Salesforce developers?
So I could say that I have no some certain question because it depends definitely what type of developers or either consultants are you looking for. For example, if you have some project with the long history of the development, and you have to support the current implementation, it's not a greenfield development, it's more like brownfield development. So you have different types of tasks, and most of them could be done by newcomers or switchers to Salesforce. For that type of developers, I think some generic question like the difference between profile and role are relevant, or some certain question about the Apex or Lightning development. These kind of questions could be asked on the interview for, I would say, junior or regular developers, Salesforce developers with from half to 2 years of experience. For experienced developers, so it's much interesting for me the business orientation, the business understanding of the task that the developers has previously done. If there is some mention, for example, some previous experience in the migration from another kind of CRM to Salesforce, I'll definitely ask about the technology that was used for the migration, the reason why it was selected by the person. And based on the answer, it will be definitely clear if the developer made some decision on the project, or just implemented the solution that was selected by, for example, an architect or some other senior staff. The integration projects are more relevant for interview, more interesting as for me for interview, because you may ask why one technology was selected, and for example, why you have used the REST API instead of SOAP API, or why you selected platform events or something like that. And based on answers, you could definitely understand if the person has the idea, has the understanding why it was implemented that way, and you could count on the person in your future projects. For example, if there is a need to estimate or to prepare some solution for your current client, you could delegate the task to the person, or you will consider the fact that this person needs some assistance in the selection of the solution on your next projects. So the main idea is to understand if the person fits best to the position you're currently hiring or you are going to have in the projects or in your team. I was on that place on the interview when I was interviewed, and I think most of us will agree that such question, like for experienced people with lots of certificates or some previous experience, the question like what the difference between roles and profiles, they are annoying.
Exactly. And speaking about people who are good in making decision and looking for solution, how do you think, how many years of experience they need to achieve that level of understanding?
I think that time is not so good measurement for...
And what is important?
I think it depends on the project, it depends on the tasks, and definitely the velocity of the project, because you could work on, for example, some financial organization or bank, for example, they could discuss any changes many times. So, for example, the discussion could take like 3-5 months to make some decision. For example, to enable multi-currency, even such kind of decision could be made for several months. But if you are working on the active environment with different types of tasks, sometimes it could be stressful to work in such environment, but for junior or mid or regular developers, it's the best projects to ramp up the career, to grow. It definitely, I could say that it definitely depends on the tasks. So you could write in your CV the number of, for example, of some Lightning components, or number of integrations that you have implemented, number of web services. You could measure your success by some numbers. So it will definitely help the interviewers to understand what person is sitting in front of you.
Thanks for your ideas and thanks for sharing your experience. Hope to see you again one day.
Yep, sure, definitely. So hope my answers will help somebody.
That is our show for today. Best wishes to all who are preparing for an interview. And as always, I want to thank you, friends, for joining us for this episode of the Salesforce United podcast.